What's going on, you beautiful beings? It's so great to be here with my continuously more and more crazy hair. I just had an infuriating experience that I feel like might be relatable. So this video will not only help me move through some anger, even some rage, maybe it will also give you guys some insight onto this type of ordeal that can happen to us so easily, to so many of us, because we are so opened up energetically. We are so sensitive. We're like very sensitive beings. Environments, stimuli, things can really trigger us. It can overwhelm our nervous system. And so what I'm about to share with you, and perhaps times it's happened to me in the past, can maybe help you out on your own journey regarding this phenomena that I know most of you, almost all of you, have been through. I know basically all my clients have been through it. I've been through it. And what I'm talking about is when you're in a healing container or just an environment in general, and you feel like your boundaries are being crossed and your inner child is triggered, and like you feel kind of frozen in that moment, because it's like there's a part of you that wants to ask for your needs to be met, but there's also this part that remembers the inner child, like, oh, when I was 5 and I asked for my needs to be met, I was slapped, or I was told that's stupid, or someone got mad at me. I was met with anger and hostility, and it felt very threatening when we were a little kid and we asked for our needs to be met, and the adult in our life, the caregiver, whoever it may be, the teacher, they respond with, they not only don't meet our need, but they also respond with, how could you need that? You don't need that. They convince us our needs are invalid. We have been convinced that our needs are invalid. So it's like when your needs aren't being met in a container, I'm going to use my example. And that is this yoga class I was in. And I feel like there was a piece there I was missing. It was like, yeah, our needs are invalid. Our needs have been invalidated when we were children, and we kind of carry that with us. And yeah, like we get really frozen when our needs, and we're like afraid to ask for our needs to be met because we feel like we won't be loved. That's the big one. That's the part. It was like spirit, my field, wasn't letting me carry on with the story because it was like, you missed a really big chunk there. And the chunk is when we're met with anger, hostility, and our needs are invalidated, it really feels like we're not going to get love. It feels like we're unlovable. And that's like our survival as children. Not only as children do we need, and babies in a nursing home prove this, not only do we need physical sustenance and like a roof over our head and food and stuff and shelter and clothing, we also need love. We need emotional care. And so when we ask for our needs and that's revoked, we're like, fuck that. Asking for my needs is a terrible idea. I will no longer ask for my needs. And so we carry that into adulthood. Even as we learn to love ourselves, and even as we're not as dependent, I mean, we're still all very interdependent, but even as we're not as dependent on others for love, we still carry that fear of asking for our needs to be met. And I'm going to share a very personal story that just happened in this hot yoga class after I get some fucking water because I'm very dehydrated. Water tastes so good after hot yoga or any like sauna or whatever. So here's what happened to me, and I'm going to share how to work through this. I was in this hot yoga class and the music's bumping, it's blaring. It's not my style of hot yoga, but I'm there for kind of basically just to get a workout. But I'm also very energetically open today. Like going in, I was feeling very open and flowy. And if the music was like really good and kind of high vibration, I think it would have been fine. You know, I can handle loud music if it flows, if it's like with my vibration, you know. But this music was like so mainstreamy, just like it had a very low vibration. It was just like a big time energetic dissonance. And so if the music would have been less loud, I was feeling like I could tolerate it. But I was right by the fucking speaker. Of course, Spirit put me right by the speaker. And it was just blaring. And it was really causing a disruption to my nervous system because we're all very sensitive. And my inner child was just like not happy about it, right? And so what happened is I tried to kind of just see, like, can I vibe with this? You know, I always just try to give my best effort a little bit. But then I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not going to be able to go through this whole class with this music. And so I brought it to the teacher's attention. I said, hey, can you just turn down the music a little bit? And she's like, oh, yeah, okay. And I swear, she didn't even turn it down. She like kind of acted like she did, but it did not, the music was not turned down. And so my inner child got like really upset. It's like, I'm in a healing container, a yoga class, and I'm asking, out of all the places our needs should be met, it's a healing container. It's a session with a healer. It's a yoga class. And everyone makes mistakes and everyone fucks up. Everyone drops the ball, right? Of course. And so I was just sitting there, but I was getting angry. I was like, why didn't she honor my needs just now? And then I was like, those old patterns of maybe it's like she was doing the thing that I was reminded of that happened when I was 5 or 6 or 10, when I was in math class. And the teacher invalidated my needs then. It's like that part came up and it was like, fuck, she just really invalidated what I needed. Basically just said, that doesn't matter. And then what happened? It gets even worse. It gets even more intense. She fucking turned it up. She turned it up like 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later. And I was trying to kind of just write it out. And once she turned it up, I was like, fuck this, you know, fuck this. And I just got my yoga mat and I just broke the healing container. And that's the lesson. If you're ever in a healing container and your needs aren't being met, the first thing is if they're not being met and you just want to fucking leave, you can just leave. You can just leave. You don't even have to do the part I'm going to tell you. But if you're in a healing container and like I wanted to be there, I wanted to do the hot yoga. I wanted the music not to bother me. I just wanted her to turn it down like some. I wanted to finish the workout, right? So if this is the case and you want to be in the healing container, but a need isn't being met and it's triggering you and it's not feeling good, all you always have, it's like that's the place to learn how to ask for your needs. Because that's the place 9 out of 10 times they will be met with open arms. I've had this experience before, and it's usually met. And not all the time a lot of times all the needs are met in these kind of environments, but sometimes they're not. And so I was just pissed. But I was also very there. And the thing was, it was great because I left and I had anger. I was angry about the situation. I was a little confused. I was like, what? But you're turning it up? And I'm like right by the speaker and I've told you I'm too sensitive. And it's just like, wow, all right. This is not a safe place for me, you know? Unfortunately, because it's a yoga studio, I'd love for it to be safe. And so I still left. I just walked out. No shame about it. I was like right here and I was just like, no, there's no shame about this. My needs are fucking valid. You know what I mean? My needs are fucking valid. And no matter how small or inconsequential they might seem to another, it's like when we're going through a massive Kundalini awakening, our third eye and crown are wide open and our heart and throat chakras are blasted open. That's a huge need when we're having this energy blasted at us that's like just awful. And yeah, I could have played the spiritual warrior role and been like, of course I could have toughed it out. But this is a fucking yoga class, you know what I mean? It's not a place where I want to do that. It's not worth it. No, this is the place where we don't have to do that. And so I still went and took my shower and I didn't, they were still in the class, so I didn't have a chance to talk to her. And if she would have asked me, I would have just been real straight with her. I would have said, I would have just even said the word I was in such a place where I was like, just didn't give a fuck. I was going to be so raw and just very honestly tell her, like, I asked for you to meet my needs. The music was really bothering me. You didn't meet my needs, so I broke the container. It would have been very simple, It's like your music was bothering me. I asked you to turn it down, and you didn't. You actually turned it up. And my inner child didn't feel safe, and I had to leave. That's exactly what I would have said to her. And I think just me leaving the container might be some good feedback for her. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. So that's the way to handle it. Now, in the past, I had this happen in a yoga class before, and this is how I've gotten to where I'm at with this, where I'm so able just to ask for my needs. And I could have asked for my needs even more clearly. It's like we get better and better and better. It's like leveling up with this, with like learning how to do this, with like learning how to speak up for our inner child's needs. Like I could have even been more clear. Like I kind of had her come over and I kind of whispered it, because I didn't want to be disruptive. I could have just been like, hey, Can you turn the music down in the middle of class? I was this close to doing it. I just wasn't quite there. But props to me for how I did move through it, because in the past, a yoga class I went to, they were doing the exact same thing, and I was in Shavasana, and they were blaring this loud spiritual something music, but it was not feeling good on my system. It was feeling wretched and horrible. But I liked the yoga teacher. I thought she's a cool lady, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings. So not only did I not ask for my needs, I didn't get up and leave. I just kind of like toughed it out so I didn't have to rock the boat. So I didn't have to potentially make her feel uncomfortable or something. And I doubt she would have. She probably would have just been like, hey, no problem, Matthew, and turned it right down. She probably had no idea what was happening, right? And after that, I was fucked up for like 3, 4, 5 days of just like my inner child threw a 5-day tantrum. He was just screaming, and my nervous system was so dysregulated. And if I said what I'm about to say to that Matthew, whenever that happened, that was probably like, I don't know, 9 months ago, that Matthew would probably want to slap me or something, or punch me or scream at me. But because that happened, the blessing and the gift in that was I learned a fierce lesson. Something in me was like, ain't gonna do that shit again. Like, I'm going to step up and ask for my needs to be met. And I've just gotten better and better at it. And there was another instance where it happened. I can't remember it specifically, but it didn't go quite as far, but it still went too far before I asked for my needs, you know? And this is how it's like incremental steps. At first, we don't say anything like we learned to do in childhood, and we just take the pain and we just suffer through it, and so we don't have to rock the boat. And then we sit with it and sit with it and sit with it and finally speak up, but it's a little too late, and we suffer longer than we needed to, and we could have spoke up sooner. And then eventually you just get to this point, and I'm like almost there, I'm getting there, where we just speak up right away and assertively, right when it feels off. I mean, we want to like give it a minute just to make sure, you know, just to make sure. But I mean, sometimes we know like that. If you know like that, just say it. But, you know, with some things, it's like you want to feel into it. But right when you have that inclination, you get to speak, you get to be heard, you get to be seen. And guess what? If they don't meet your needs, it's clear. Your decision's so clear. So if you want to be in the healing container and your needs aren't being met, I always say, maybe if you want to be there, give them a chance to meet your needs, because a lot of people want to meet your needs. Yeah, that's what I went through. And it's like we get to relearn our needs are fucking valid, and you get to do what you need to do for yourself. And a lot of people will meet your needs, and some people won't. And when they don't, it's a very clear, concise decision. I'm not safe here. I'm going to leave, because we can do that. That's being in your power. Being in your power isn't sitting there suffering through it and trying to make a story out of it. I'm tough enough to do this. That's disempowered. Being in your power is speaking up for your inner child, voicing your needs, and when they're not met, getting the fuck out of there. Getting the fuck out of there. It's simple. That's the lesson sometimes. Just get the fuck out of there. Maybe some of you needed to hear this. Feels like you probably did with how it came through. If you would like to support this channel, please join the Patreon page. It helps me tremendously. I will put a link below in the description box. There's already over 40 pieces of content on there right now. And I feel in my heart, and I feel guided by spirit, that I will be uploading there more and more as I build some momentum here on YouTube. Kind of build the channel back, you know, like, and what I mean by that is just pouring energy. I don't mean like subscribers and views. I mean, build the channel back in a way of like how much energy I'm pouring into it. It's like I'm pouring so much energy into it again. And it feels great to do that. And so I know, but to help sustain myself and to nourish myself, the Patreon is such a powerful and beautiful way for me to do that, and for you to really not only support me, but, you know, I feel like the content on there is really good, and I feel like what is coming through is really helpful. And so I think it could be a really great thing. The second way you can support me is by giving me a one-time donation. And these things, if you feel guided to it, if it feels inspiring, if it feels good to do it. Obviously, no obligations. Something in me wants to say that. I love giving just to give. This is if you feel inspired and pulled to support this channel in a deeper way. Those are beautiful options, and I just want to make you guys aware of them, so you know. And other than that, yeah, because I'm not doing as many sessions right now. I'm in my car, but that could change very quickly as well too. So don't be afraid to reach out for a session. I've been doing pretty good at making time for you guys. The sessions have been, scheduling's been different. It's been more of like can you meet tomorrow morning? But anyways, so much love to you guys. Your needs are valid. You're safe to ask to have them met. And fuck, you guys are worthy to have your needs met. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Most people will happily meet them. And if you're having trouble, just know it's a process, and you'll get better and better at it as you go. And there'll be less and less fear about it. Because once you do it that first time, a lot of fear is released. And then again, okay, nothing horrible happened. No one hit me. No one screamed at me. No one's revoking their love from me. And then after a while, it's just who you are. You're just someone who naturally asks for their needs to be met. And that's who we're all becoming. Very powerful, centered, grounded, light workers. That's what we're here to do. So much love. I will see you in the next video. Namaste.